Came into Nashville, was in a long-term relationship, ended up ending that relationship. There's a lot of things I had to learn about myself, things with therapy and just understanding what a relationship was supposed to look like. A lot of what this year has been is rediscovering myself. There's been times in the past that I will do things for people and I put myself in awkward situations and not really think about what I want in the sense of thriving is understanding what is it that Paul likes to do. At the end of the day, what you say to yourself matters more than what anyone else is saying to you. Be careful about who you allow to speak into your life.
Welcome to Bridge to Self. I'm your host, Ben Arthur. I'm excited to be joined by Paul Faronbi, who is the first guest I'm having to return to the show. So that is super exciting. But just for context about Paul, for those of you who didn't watch our first conversation, he is Nigerian-American. He is the founder of IncrediPaul, which focuses on empowering young professionals in the STEM space. By day, he is a chemical engineer for Mars in the Nashville area, and he also runs a nonprofit called NALA STEM, which focuses on career development and career support for historically marginalized communities in the STEM space. Paul, it's good to see you, man. I feel like I think I saw you like last week. So it's good to see you, man.
Yeah, it's good to see you. It's an honor to be the first one back on the show. Yeah, we got to hang out a couple of weeks ago. I know we don't get to hang out as much as we would both like, but anytime we do, it's always a good conversation, good vibes.
Absolutely. And certainly the good vibes, I'm sure, will continue through this conversation. So I was looking back, and our first conversation was last year, around 11 months ago. And so I'm wondering how time flies. How is 2025 Paul Faronbi different from the 2024 version of Paul Faronbi that I met last year?
Man, just right into the deep end. That's a really good
Right
question.
in the deep end. Gotta go all in.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I've been saying that 2025 is my year to thrive. One, because it rhymes. Two, because there's just a lot of things that went on last year. So came into Nashville, was in a long-term relationship, ended up ending that relationship. And there's a lot of things I had to learn about myself. And there are things like with therapy and just understanding what a relationship was supposed to look like. So a lot of what this year has been is rediscovering myself on my own, in addition to all the stuff I continue to do with IncrediPaul, NALA STEM, working as an engineer. And oftentimes people ask me, how do you do all those three things? And I say the same thing as like, I don't know half the time how I do it. Really, it's just by God's grace. And it's like, I just balance between different things. So like, obviously as an engineer, like there's things I have to do, specific things places I have to be. And then the IncrediPaul stuff, I've been focused more on the podcast, and the coaching and speaking stuff has more been on request. There's been more stuff I've been doing this year to try and position myself more as a speaker and not only as a podcaster, to see how that goes. And then the nonprofit stuff, DEI has basically been imploded by the government. So there's a lot of things that we're working through there. So like, just it's my year to thrive, but it's also my year to continue to be busy.
So when being that that is the theme of this year for you, thriving, I guess, what have you found out, I guess, maybe in that process that has helped you to thrive? Like what have you learned to tap into that allows that thriving to take place?
Another good question. I think it's really be understanding what are the things that I like and the things that I want to do. So I think I've said it before. I don't know if I've said on this podcast, but I'm definitely a recovering people pleaser. So there's been times in the past that I will do things for people and like put myself in awkward situations and not really think about what I want or I need in a certain situation. So I think in the sense of thriving is understanding it's like, what is it that Paul likes to do? Talk to myself in third person because this is conversations I've had with my therapist. It's like, what is it that I like to do? What is it that I like to experience? And not to say that I don't like to do all the stuff that I'm doing with IncrediPaul and NALA STEM. I enjoy it, but at the same time, understanding that just because those things give me meaning doesn't mean that that's the only thing that I bring to the table.
As you know, Paul, like, and we've had a lot of conversations about this, like how this podcast has changed. I mean,
Mhm.
it was Pinnacle Code at first. It's now Bridge to Self, and it's now focusing on those like us, right? In terms of the second generation or 1.5 generation Black immigrant experience in the American context. And you mentioned that your mom's Nigerian. You come from a Nigerian family. You were born in Nigeria. You moved here, I believe, when you were like 4 years old.
Yeah.
How has the way you've looked at your Nigerian heritage evolved as you've come into yourself more as a young adult?
I would say it's evolved a lot because at the beginning, very much so, like born in Nigeria group, was there up until like right before starting kindergarten. Then being really immersed into American culture, but being raised in Nigerian household.
Yeah.
So trying to make sense of the two because like my parents are experiencing America for the first time. I'm experiencing it for the first time. And so there's certain things they don't know. And I think as I was growing up in elementary school and middle school, I just wanted to blend in. I didn't want people to know I was different, even though I was clearly different. And so that was something that didn't shift until when I was in college and started to embrace being Nigerian a little bit more. I think from joining things like the African Student Association and then just a lot the nature of a lot of the engineers that I got connected with were also African, a lot of them Nigerians, just because
Mhm.
that running stereotype.
Yeah.
Uh, and then I think now over the last few years is really I embracing my culture, but in my own sense, because and
Mm.
my siblings and I we joke about this, and I think well, everything that you talk about with 1.5 and second generation Americans will probably understand. Black Americans will understand this as well. Is that we very much exist between the two cultures. So we are too Nigerian for Americans, and we're too American for Nigerians.
Yeah.
So we don't quite fit in either way. And I think it's more so just accepting that I am different and embracing those differences. And I think a lot of times I just see things in a different way. I don't, and it's hard to put in words unless it's like a specific situation, but I don't see things the way everyone else sees things for the most part.
You said that going into college is when maybe you started maybe embracing that Nigerian side more, at least outwardly. And
Mhm.
for some reason, I feel like a lot of the conversations I've had with people that it was the same case with me. A lot of the people I've had on the show to talk about kind of that experience is kind of growing up. You don't want that side of you, that African side of you to show, but then you get to a point, whether 18, 19, whatever, when you get to
Mhm.
college where that maybe starts to come out more, or you make the intention to embrace that more. Why do you think that time of our lives is so pivotal for people maybe wanting to tap into that more? Because I find that so fascinating, right? Like,
Uh-huh.
my gut is that maybe as kids you just maybe want to blend in, and then
Uh-huh.
as adults you start to, or when you become more of an adult, you realize you want to step into your uniqueness more. I don't know, I'm curious as to your take on why that seems to be a point where a lot of second generation or 1.5 generation folks feel like that's the time to where it's okay to demonstrate that side of themselves more.
That's a really good question. My first thought is that in college is where you are exposed to the most diverse group of people that you will ever meet. And I think in elementary and high school, everyone's just trying to fit in and be the same. But in college is almost the opposite. Like you want to kind of be different
Yeah.
in a sense and distinguish yourself. Like whether it's like even a lot of scholarships are on specific whether you're going after a specific activity, specific demographic, like there's a lot of things that have to do at college that they're being different and being unique is more celebrated than it is when you're in high school, or definitely middle school. Middle school is
Middle school
rough
is
time
tough,
for
bro.
everyone. Yes. It's rough. So you make it through middle school, make it to high school, college. I think that's my first thought, and then you just meet a lot of diverse people, because I went to school at Iowa State. The state of Iowa is not known for its diversity at all.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's definitely
But
one of the whitest states in the country for
it
sure.
is. It
Yeah.
is. I mean, and it's a cold state too. So it's like we Africans, a lot of immigrants from Africa, or even South America, do not like the cold. But funny story is that there's a lot of Puerto Ricans, and they're not immigrants, so they're Americans, but there are a lot of Puerto Ricans end up going to Iowa State, and so I got connected with the Puerto Rican community while I was there. That's just a side
Interesting.
note.
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, I think Iowa State just heavily recruits from there, from some of my friends have said. Iowa State, and I think University of Florida. I don't know how Iowa State got in there. Regardless, there's a lot of Puerto Ricans that continue to come in there.
That's interesting. Yeah. Florida obviously makes sense for a plethora of reasons, but yeah, Iowa. That's something that's cool that you were able to tap into that while you were there. But yeah, I don't know, the point you make about college being around so much diversity, I think is a good one. I also think in college is a time for all of us to start to redefine ourselves, because I know in high school, I feel like I got pigeonholed into a certain identity, right? Like being the basketball player, or just, and as you said, in high school, we want to kind of blend in, and you get kind of pigeonholed into like who you are in that environment, or who the people around you perceive you to be. And then I think in college, on top of the diversity, you have a chance to like really set your stamp in terms of like who you are. So I think that might be a part of it as well.
I agree that it's the time of life where you really discover who you are.
Yeah.
Because obviously we're learning a lot. It's foundation of a lot of people's careers if you choose to go the college route, which I'm a heavy proponent of it, especially if you're going into different STEM fields, or fields that a lot of fields you need to go to college to get into, but now more and more you don't. So we could get into that conversation, but it's really making sure that whatever you're going to college for, you know what you're going to get out of it. I don't recommend people just going to college for the vibes. That's a lot of money for vibes.
Yeah, no, that's a fact. And that's what we're all indoctrinated to kind of believe, that too. Like it's just go for the vibes, go and have a good time, or whatever. Like, and yeah, that's definitely a really big issue, because people are ending up in debt for years and years. Like I'm paying off student loans now still. But yeah, I think the way we frame that needs to change. I'm wondering though, for you, Paul, being an engineer, because a big stereotype of like African parents is that they want their kids to be an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer or a failure. You got to be one of those options, right? And so you did decide to be an engineer, right? A chemical engineer. So I'm wondering, how do you make sure that you're doing it for yourself and not because of parental or familial expectations coming from a Nigerian family?
Yeah, I think whether it's stated or it's just implied, it's always going to be there. Because I would say, and I had a recent conversation with a guest about this, is that my parents were definitely more laid back about whether you're a doctor, lawyer, engineer, or disappointment. They never said that, but it was very clear that they said, like, we like you to go to college, choose something where you're going to actually make money, not just go to college just for the sake of going to college. So my dad was an engineer. He studied engineer. He doesn't practice as an engineer anymore. And so he never said I should study engineering, but it's just one of those things that I knew if I did it, he would like it. I think I've always been, and either my mom, my dad, any of my siblings will tell you this, is that kind of a stubborn person in the sense that I'm not going to do something just because you tell me to do something. I want to make sure that I actually want to do that thing. So I know not everyone is like that to the sense that maybe they have some of the pressure. And it's, I guess, even what I said earlier, like, how do I reconcile the fact that I'm stubborn, but I'm also a people pleaser? I don't know. I think it just happens. It just
Uh,
depends on what it is. I don't think I'm as stubborn in everything. So certain things I know I'm like, especially when I was trying to choose my career, for the longest time, I did not want to be an engineer
mm.
because I wanted to do something different. I was like, my dad's an engineer. I want to do something different. I want to become a doctor. And then when I was thinking for myself what I really wanted to do, I was like, oh, shoot, I actually do want to be an engineer. So
So what was it about engineering that pulled you in when you didn't necessarily want to be one?
it was the fact that I always liked math and science and really understanding how things work and applying
Mm,
that math and science. So I was someone growing up always liked Legos. I was not the person who would just take apart appliances and then try and put them together. So I saved my mom from that. That was not me. But I was always just curious about how things work. I mean, even thinking back, this is even before I started working in the food area. Like, I don't know if you ever watched the show Unwrapped,
I have
about
not.
how yeah, it's a show that was on Food Network. It showed like how they make the different foods that we eat every day, all the different
Mm,
processed foods. And it was just like behind the scenes of like all the different processes that they went through. And that was a show I was always really fascinated by. And it
mm.
really wasn't until this moment I realized that I'm actually like, I live out like a real life Unwrapped, like with all the stuff that I do. And I used to watch that show all the time. So it was always something I knew I was interested in. I think I just didn't know how to go about doing that. And it was just different experiences that got me there. So at first, I was like, I'm pre med. I was going to be a biology or chemistry major. And so I realized that for whatever reason, med school doesn't work. I don't want to be a biologist or a chemist. And I was like, okay, I'll choose chemical engineering. I did undergraduate research and biomedical engineering, like try to regenerate nerve cells
Mm.
and worked in a biology lab, in a chemical engineering lab, like really super technical stuff like for 4 years, and then got exposed to a lot of stuff on the consumer packaged goods side, or on the food side. And then that really just took me on the path. It's like I want to merge the two within research and development on the food side. So now working as a research and development process engineer. So looking at the equipment and making it more efficient and looking at different ways to make the food.
How have you tried, Paul, if at all, to carry your Nigerian heritage with you in your day to day as either an engineer or with IncrediPaul and NALA STEM? Like, how is that a part of your daily life or work life?
I would say it's a part of it, but not directly. So I think I tried to balance between the two because there was a time that I actually like changed my name on LinkedIn to be like
I
my,
do remember that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it's like my middle name is actually my birth name, but it has nothing to do with Paul. It was just like really confusing, and then I got
Mm,
paranoid about like what if someone tries to steal my identity because they know like all my different names. So like I took it off, and it
mm,
was so right now, and it's also because the audience that I attract is not specifically Nigerian-American or second gen immigrants, or so I definitely relate well to them. Anytime I'm doing speaking or in person, introducing myself, I tell people that I'm Nigerian-American, but across my platforms, you won't. It's not something that's at the forefront, and maybe I honestly don't know. I couldn't tell you why I don't put it more at the forefront. I think more so because yes, I'm Nigerian, yes, I'm American. I'm a unique blend of both. I really just focus more on what I bring to the table as
mhm.
opposed to what either of those countries or demographics bring.
Yeah, I think that's part of the process of finding ourselves and our purpose, right? Like, it's
Mhm.
not So like with this show, it's recognizing that we stand between cultures, but it's not necessarily like needing to overemphasize that, because we all have our different lanes that we want to be known in, right? Like for me, it's being a journalist, it's for telling powerful stories. And
Mhm.
and so I don't think, yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with your decision to take out like your full Nigerian name out of kind of your branding and everything, because at the end of the day, I feel like you still recognize who you are,
Mhm.
but your work is at the forefront, and you're not
Yeah.
shying away from being
No,
Nigerian American too.
no. Yeah,
So
I very much embrace it.
for sure.
Mhm.
Um, I'm curious because the last time you were on, you kind of talked about how you've noticed that you're able to find the strengths in other people. I think that's part of what has maybe drawn you to the coaching part of what you do. I feel like that's something obviously that a lot of people struggle with. How What advice would you give to those looking to find those strengths that they have by themselves?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I think it's hard to do by yourself. So I'll start off there. That's why I pause. It's hard to do by yourself.
Mhm.
Not to say that I'm saying that everyone needs to get a coach, but I think coaching really helps accelerate it. I think at the very least, getting like a trusted friend or a mentor, someone that you can talk to about certain things. Because I think a lot of times we downplay the things that we're good at when we are first starting it. Especially, and I think some of it can be it can be an aspect of perfectionism or imposter syndrome, thinking that okay, like I need to be the best at this right away. And that's like where perfectionism comes in, where even the people who are experts in something are always learning, always honing their craft. And so I think that's where friends, a mentor, a coach can help to kind of cut through the noise when you're saying, like, oh, I'm not good at this. Like, no, like I've seen all these other people do this and like you do this, and it's you do this so easily. It just comes naturally to you. And that was honestly was people telling me about a lot of stuff I do with encouraging people is it comes really natural to me. I have to try not to encourage someone or just not to say anything because my first instinct is to try and see like, okay, what is something this person is good at? What is something that they can just to motivate people?
Yeah.
And I've been more intentional about that the last couple years, as people have told me, is that everyone needs to be encouraged, but not everyone knows everyone knows that they need. There's no one that you encourage them and they'll be like, oh, I didn't need that. Like that's not that's not a thing. Like it could be
Yeah.
the person that is doing the best thing. It could be like a really senior leader. And I've noticed it too. Like I will have just random conversation with some of the senior leaders that I work with or like even on the podcast. And I'll just say something that I've noticed that they do well or maybe other people haven't seen. And I can see like that it really stuck with them.
Hmm.
And so that's like on the personal side. So like if it's you are not sure what you're good at, I think it's tapping into what the people around you are saying and actually listening in and keying into it. Because at the end of the day, what you say to yourself matters more than what anyone else is saying to you. Because you other people could be
Ooh,
saying,
that's
oh,
that's a bar. Sorry, I had to stop. That's a
oh.
bar.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
bar.
yeah. Because like people could be saying, like Ben, you are really good. You're a really good podcaster. You're really good in the media space. You're really good at interviewing. But if you're saying like, oh, like I missed this question, or I forgot to ask this, or if you're constantly saying negative things to yourself, you're not going to be able to achieve your full potential.
I think, yeah, I didn't quite think about it like that until you said it. But yeah, I think to finding your strengths, you do need those outside of you to help tell you, because you can have your own biases about how you're doing things or the way you're doing things, like in your own head. So I think you need to see how you're reflecting on the world and how other people are perceiving that to really understand who you are and who your strengths are. Because like, I know for me, like a lot of people have told me like, oh, you have a voice for this, or, oh, you can really write well, or, oh, like a lot of these things you won't really like there are things you can love, and then there are also things that I think can come natural to you. Sometimes they overlap, sometimes they don't. But I think, like you said, it is so important for the world to tell you almost what you're meant to do, as opposed to just maybe deciding in your head what you want to do.
Yeah, it's definitely both. And I think you also have to be careful about who you allow to speak into your life.
Facts.
Because there can be people who are out there that are just jealous, and they will tell you you're not good at that, or you'll never be good at something, because they want to pull you down, because it's easier to pull someone down than for them to elevate themselves up.
Absolutely. Yeah. Whether it's mentors, having like-minded people, or looking at people who are where you want to be, or whatever, really insulating. Because especially in the age we live in with social media, we know how crazy the algorithms are, and just all the mess. They're like information overload, right? And I think we really need to curate kind of what we're listening to. I think that's super, super important.
For sure. I tell people you'll never find someone who is really confident in themselves trying to tear you down when you're trying to build something. Confident people don't have time to tear people down.
Oh, bro, that's another bar right there. Deserve some snaps. Yeah, that is so true. Yeah, the people who are doing it right, like they're not going to tear you down, because it's the people who are envious of you, or have resentment towards you, or whatever, who are going to be the ones bringing you down.
Or
Because
it's just
go ahead.
or just the people who just don't want to do anything, that they're just like, just think about it. If you have friends that they're just satisfied with their life, or they're not satisfied with their life, but they don't want to do anything more. They want everyone else to just stay at that level. So when you start to elevate yourself, they're the ones that will be like, who do you think you are? Like, you think you're better than us, all these different things. And you just, not to say, because people say like being successful is a lonely road. It can be if you don't like find a community. I don't think you just try to be successful, forget people who aren't successful. I think you find other people who also want to be successful too, and make that your community. Not to say that your friends before cannot be your friends, but I think you have to lower and quiet the voice they have in your life, because I've heard it said that you are the sum total of like the 4 or 5 people that are the closest to you. So if you have 4 people, you have 3 people that are really going after greatness and stuff, you have one person that doesn't want to do anything, that person is going to drag down your average. So they can, so not to say that they can't be in your life, but you just have to make sure they're not as close to you. So I'm really intentional about the people I spend time with on a regular basis. Like, I'll just have fun and do different things, but like, I just don't like, I've got to the stage I'm comfortable just doing things for myself, as opposed to just hanging out with people who are not necessarily as like-minded as me.
Facts. And I think too, Paul, I think it goes beyond the people you surround. I mean, the people you surround yourself with is important, but also what you feed yourself with, right? Because sometimes you're not in a position to be in an environment where people are super ambitious or trying to achieve in the way that you feel you are. Sometimes it starts with going on YouTube or listening to conversations like this, or looking at those influencers, or like Stephen Bartlett, or whoever it is online, and consuming those ideas. And I think, I don't know if you've heard of Alex Hormozy before. Iranian-American entrepreneur. He's phenomenal, by the way. But one thing he's hard. I love it. But one thing he talks
Him
about,
and his wife, Layla.
that is one power couple. Like, But one thing they talk a lot about is, and this is kind of the space I feel that I'm in. Like you've kind of maybe outgrown a certain group of people, but you also don't have the results of of kind of what you're after, and you're kind of in that middle road right now. And so like you don't, yeah, like you don't maybe have the, I don't know, physical results to where you could be in those rooms with the millionaires, or whatever it is, right? And so I think in that way, that's where it can feel kind of like a lonely journey, right? Because you get
Mhm.
to a point where you start to realize that those people, your friends or whoever you're associating with, that they don't have the same mindset as you, but you can't quite get to where you're going. The people who are where you want to be, and so you find yourself in this middle road. And so I think that kind of goes back to what I was saying about consuming those ideas. If you
Mhm.
can't necessarily be around the physical group, like going on YouTube, doing that research, doing that skill development, leadership development, money development, whatever it is, I think that all supplements that as well. I'm curious as to your thoughts on that.
No, I definitely agree with that. I know. So I'm certified for speaking and coaching through John Maxwell Leadership. And that's what he said about mentorship. You can get mentorship through books, videos, podcasts, all the different things. So like he said there are many of his mentors that it took years and he never met. It was just like through books. He was able to glean the knowledge from them. So I definitely agree that sometimes you're not able to have the community of those people right in front of you, like physical, but we are in a digital age. Like even social media has made it so much easier to connect with people.
Yep.
But I think at the same time, like we control our algorithms. I think sometimes people will
Yeah.
complain about, oh, my algorithm showing me this, my algorithm showing me that. I'm like,
It's because of what you're doing
it's
on
yeah, it's
it.
because of what you're doing. Like you control that, and if you continue to stay on it and dwell on it instead of scrolling past it, it's going to continue to show you that. It's our minds are really the neuroplasticity, without getting too much into the neuroscience, because I'm not a neuroscientist, but I've read a little bit about it,
For
is
sure.
that we can really reprogram ourselves to do almost anything. It's just a matter of the time and the effort we take, because our neurons, our brains are really plastic to the sense that we can grow and develop and do different things that we seemingly thought we couldn't do.
Yeah, I love. Yeah, I've done a bit of homework, or I've listened to interviews about the neuroscience. I'm all, like you. I am not a neuroscience, so I'm
Yeah.
not going to speak with any expertise on that. But that is a fact, and I think where I lost my trail of thought. Where was I going with that?
With the neuroscience.
Oh, I was gonna say with in terms of the algorithm, right? Like I think that's why recently I'm my girlfriend probably thinks I'm crazy, but like the way I approach Instagram is kind of crazy. Like I don't like I spend so I have a timer in terms of like how long I could be on the app. So I think it's like 20 or 30 minutes. Like that's my daily maximum. And then a thing pops up and says, you've used up, like it's been 30 minutes or whatever. Do you want to log out or whatever? And I do. But it's like I spend like 5 minutes looking at like podcasts I admire. I spend 5 minutes looking at like people I admire. I spend 5 minutes looking at like business pages. I spend 5 minutes like I try to curate my algorithm that way because like we talked about, it can get so crazy, especially now. Like over the last couple years, I feel like it's even gotten crazier.
Mhm.
Like you look at like one model, for instance, and then all of a sudden for the next 2 weeks, you're just seeing half naked women on
Mhm.
your feed, and you're wondering what happened. And like I have to be really careful with what some of my friends will send me, right? Because if I
Oh.
click on that, that's gonna mess up what I've tried really hard to curate. And so I
Mm.
think that's one thing I've thought a lot about. I don't know if you do anything like that, but I'm kind of obsessive in that way.
Yeah, I haven't got that far because, and we've had conversations about this. I don't like Instagram. Like I'm
Yeah.
on it because I have to be on there. And I post on there because just so people know when I'm doing the podcast and like so my friends know I'm alive and well, like in different places. I'm on there to like connect with people, but there'll be times where I'll post some like I'm gonna be gone for a week or sometimes usually at the beginning of the year I'll be gone. I won't be there for like the first month, but I'm
Mm,
just like I won't be on there. But I think I like I don't know. I feel like I'm like an all or nothing person. So I'll be on there too much or I'll be on there not at all. So I feel
mm.
like these last week and a half up until like a couple of days ago, I was posting a lot more stuff on my stories and things just because I couldn't even tell you. I didn't have a specific reason why because it wasn't even stuff that was directly related to IncrediPaul, just like stuff in my life.
Yeah.
Um, but then other times I just won't be on there at all. But I definitely on the extreme side of sometimes I'll just delete them off of my phone. Uh
That's smart. Yeah.
yeah, I'll delete them off. TikTok is where like my algorithm is good in the sense that everything that's on there, I'm usually like learning something or something like interesting. It's really not as much. I mean, there's some entertaining stuff or some new stuff on there, but I think I get sucked in because I don't really watch a lot of the news because a lot of it is negative, and I
Yeah.
try to keep that out.
And that will also impact your algorithm because the more that you click on, the more
Uh,
doomsday, apocalypse, America is ending stuff you'll see.
yeah. There's so many things. So it's like I like your intentionality about looking at podcasters, different business pages. I think that's something I could potentially adopt because that's I haven't got to that stage. I mean, there's a lot of people. There's over the last year, there's like a lot of people I've just stopped following or don't follow because
Yeah.
I'm like even people that are like my friends, and I'm like, well,
Oh, wow.
where yeah, like
Well,
it's like it's like they're not like my closest friends. Honestly,
got it.
my closest friends are not even really on like social media. So it's
Yeah,
like, okay,
for
it's
sure.
fine. And it's one of those things I'm like, okay, that I've been purposely doing stuff to get out of people pleasing mode.
Mm,
So like some of the people I was following before, I'm like, oh, like I don't want them to be upset if I unfollow them. But now I was like, why do I care?
yeah, yeah,
I'm like, I haven't been in like there might be people from high school or from college. Like I don't. It's not like I don't like them as a person, but it's just like they're not adding any value to my life. I don't talk to them that often. They don't even
yeah,
have my phone number. Like I think
yeah,
that was like the key thing is like this person doesn't have my phone number. Is like, does it really even matter? Like if
yeah.
something happened to me, would they even reach out? Probably
Uh,
not.
yeah. Yeah, I think a part of it, like there's so many people I should maybe like unfollow or whatever, but because of my algorithm, like I even forget, like they don't even come up.
Yeah,
Like the way some of these algorithms are now,
that's
like if you
true.
don't even engage with them, like you're not even going to see their stuff anyway. So for me, it's like I even forget they even exist. Um, but uh, but yeah, and not to say like with my Instagram approach, not to say I'm always perfect, right? Like sometimes I'm in the middle of a really good clip and it's two like 30 seconds into it, it says, "Oh, your time is up for the day," and it's like, "Nah, f that." Like I'm trying to finish this video before I log out. Um, but yeah, that's part of it too. And last thing, and then we can kind of move on from this. But you talked about your people pleasing tendencies. What have you maybe done to, because you've recognized that in yourself, right?
Mhm,
What have you done to try to rectify that? Because I've actually noticed that in myself, and I've
mhm.
actually started taking this like assertive communication class, which I
Mm,
might have to text you about.
yeah.
Which it's really good about like setting boundaries and
Mhm.
being firm in what you're saying. And I mean, we could text about that, but I guess
Yeah,
just
yeah.
for you,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
what what are you doing to like rectify that in yourself?
Yeah, so I think I noticed it more in my most intimate relationships, whether it's like with family at times and even with my ex as well. There's just like certain things I was going above and beyond, and then it wasn't always reciprocated. And it's funny because it it doesn't always show up in the way that you think it is. It's just some of it is like being anxious about how someone is going to view you not coming when they invited you to an event. So it's like sometimes people at work will invite me to hang out, and then it's not like I don't like them, but it's just like I'm busy with a lot of different things, and then I would just say no, or I would make up an excuse. But then I was like, I don't need to have a reason not to do this.
Hmm.
So it's just
Yeah.
like it's one of those things. Like if it's not something I really want to do, I've been telling myself if it's not like a hell yes, it's a no.
Mm.
Unless it's like sometimes it just might be someone that I want to build a relationship with. So it's like even if it's not something I necessarily want to do, but it's someone I want to connect with, it's like okay, I can do this. I haven't done this before. Let's try it. I'm pretty easygoing. Like there's very few things that I don't like, but there's also a few things that I like too. So I'm like very much like in the middle on things. Anything,
Yeah.
if you want to get me to do anything, if it's food related, I'm there. I'm sure you probably already realized
Yeah,
that.
you know that. Yeah, you told me.
Yeah. Food related is an easy yes for me. But then there's some people that want to drink a lot, which I'm like, I'm not against drinking, but at the same time, I don't want what I'm doing to be centered around drinking. So there's been certain people that I'll just say no, or I'll purposely go later so that so the pressure is less on me
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever. So I'm just strategic in how I do certain things.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. And I think part of the process for me in rectifying that people pleasing tendency too is realizing that selfishness to a certain degree or setting those boundaries, it helps you to show up better for people anyways.
Mhm.
Right? Because the people pleasing can come from a place of wanting to help people, but when you help
Yes.
yourself first, you're even better for people. And like for people
Mhm.
like us who do like to serve in one way or the
Mhm.
other, I think it's just about reframing. I think that has helped me a lot.
Yeah, it's definitely reframing. And I think what got me there is like therapy definitely helped with that. Like my therapist, like, you're a people pleaser. I'm like, how dare you say it? It's definitely so true to me. But and I kind of knew it, but like it shows up in like random ways. But now that it's more in the forefront, I can like tackle it better. And so so when someone asks me to do something, I'll think about, okay, do I want to do this, or am I doing this because they're asking me and I don't want to let them down as in a certain way?
Mm,
And so that's kind of like my check is like, if it's something that I want to do, even if it might add a little bit of stress for me, because like, oh, I maybe I have a busy week, but I want to do this. It's like that's fine. But if I have a busy week, someone's asked me to do this, and I'm stressed because I'm wondering about what they're going to say or how they're going to respond to me not wanting to do this, then that's a sign to me that I'm people pleasing in a
yeah.
sense. So that's
Yeah.
kind of the process that I've been taking myself with. I'm not always perfect by any means, but I've been more intentional in that area. I think the everything in IncrediPaul, I talk about being intentional, and I've been intentional in leadership and personal growth. And I think definitely in the last year plus is in the people pleasing side, I'm being more intentional about what I'm doing and what I'm not doing as well.
To kind of wind down a bit, Paul, I'm wondering, what do you think can exist in the marketplace that would better support people like us, those looking to crystallize their identity or their purpose, uh, living between two worlds? Like, what can exist that would help second generation or 1.5 generation Black immigrants? What needs to exist to help those, that demographic of people more? Because I think we both know that's not a demographic that's talked about a lot. And
Mhm.
so I'm curious as to your thoughts.
Yeah, honestly, I think is having more conversations about it. So I think I told you like when you were in between moving from Pinnacle Code to Bridge to Self, and you kind of told me the idea. I'm like, you need to do this. This is something that is needed. I'm not seeing anything like it. I think I even told you that at some point I want to write a book about being a third culture kid, like being in between different cultures. It's just it's not the time for it yet. Like there's a lot of I think I've had this conversation with you. There's a lot of things I want to do. I just know it's not the time for it.
Yeah.
But I think definitely having these conversations, having communities around it too. I think now more than ever, like if we can have more in-person communities. I know like virtual is great and we were able to do a lot of that stuff in COVID, but I've seen more and more, especially Gen Z, they are craving in-person IRL communities. And I think it's because
is that a thing? I've never heard that the
yeah,
acronym.
IRL in real
Okay.
life. Yeah.
Oh,
There.
okay then.
So I maybe it's still growing, but I've seen like a lot of not a lot. There's a few different creators that I've seen on LinkedIn that are starting to blow up because they are creating these communities for people to get together in person. So like there's one called Gen ZT, which I think the T might stand for something, but it's a lot of Gen Zs in tech in New York City, and they're just putting on like different in real life events. There's another one called what you're gonna say?
No, just the fact that you have to say in real life, I think says everything that's wrong with our society. I
Yeah,
think, but
yeah.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I
It's
think
so
that's crazy to me.
no, it is crazy. It's honestly it's where we live. It's that we have curated. Always say that wrong word weird.
Curated.
Curated our lives online, but we don't know how to live lives in person. And I think the perfect example is like I need to retool my algorithm on TikTok because now all that's happening right now is that I'm seeing a lot of people talking about how dating in Nashville sucks. And I'm like, I need to get this out of my algorithm. But it's like it was just like dating sucks in general. And then now it's like personal dating in Nashville. I'm like, okay, TikTok, what are you trying to tell me? Like, I don't like this. But I think it's because people don't know how to communicate in person anymore. They just think, or they don't know how to take like they're like online to in person, or like even like meeting people generally in person like doesn't happen because people just don't know how to do it. I think that's something I'm going to be focusing on more, talking more about networking and how to network. Because I'm realizing that networking is fairly easy for me, but it's like a fear for most people. People don't know how to go about doing it. So I'd like probably like in August, no, probably September, there's like another creator that senior level leader. She has a podcast as well, like top 1% podcast. And like we got connected and she's like, she wanted to do a collab, like some sort of speaking thing. And I was like, we should do something on networking. So we had a conversation literally just yesterday about it. So we're still formalizing what it's going to look like, but talk about networking and having difficult conversations like merged into one. So I'll lead the one on networking, and then it's kind of like the idea of like finding common ground, and that when you find that common ground, you can have those difficult conversations. So more to come on that, but I think that's something that's definitely much needed in this digital world, and even the world of AI, because a lot of people don't even know how to start a conversation. So they'll ask Chat GPT, which is great, but you're not always going to have Chat GPT when you're in person.
Yeah, when we're outsourcing our thinking about how to approach human interactions, I think that's a sign we need to kind of change our approach.
Yeah.
So I love that you're doing that, first of all. It's much needed. And I look forward to seeing how that kind of comes together moving forward. Where can people go online or on social media to connect with you, with IncrediPaul, NALA STEM, just all the work you're doing?
Yeah, so I think the best way is the pot on the website, so IncrediPaul.org or nalastem.com. You can follow me on Instagram or TikTok, the letter I, the letter M, IncrediPaul. I am IncrediPaul on either of those. I'm also on LinkedIn, Paul Faronbi, or IncrediPaul on LinkedIn page. And then YouTube, you can also stream the podcast. So search IncrediPaul. I have the most videos as IncrediPaul. There's another IncrediPaul in Switzerland that I knew about when I first started, but it was like, I think it was a year and a half or 2 years ago that now you search IncrediPaul, I'm the first one that comes up, not him anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually do remember our first podcast. You did mention that dude in Switzerland too. So it's great that there's been progress in terms of you're the number one guy coming up now. That's great. So awesome. All that will be kind of in the show notes for those you watching or listening. So be sure to tap in with Paul. Last one for you. What does it mean to you to unlock the highest version of self?
Unlocking the highest version of self, or how I usually put it, is becoming the most incredible version of yourself. It's a process. So I don't think it's something that it definitely doesn't happen overnight. And I don't think it's ever something that you reach in the sense that you're done, but it comes with what we were talking about, just being intentional, whether it's listening to podcasts like this and learning more about what it means to be a 1.5 to second generation Black American, or listening to other podcasts, reading books. But it's really about making sure that you are moving in that direction, because there's really no such thing as like just staying still and maintaining. You're either moving forward or you're moving back.
I love it.